Every tradition that has ever spoken of guardian angels agrees on one thing before it agrees on anything else. The angel is not decorative, not a comfort you paint on a nursery wall, a function, a role, an assignment with a purpose attached to it, and a cost. Long before the greeting card version of a guardian angel existed, a much older text described what a guardian angel actually does, who assigns them, what they are protecting a person from, and, this is the part most retellings leave out, what they expect in return. That text is the Book of Enoch, and the oldest layer of it does not read like devotion, it reads like a job description. If you want more of this, the primary sources, the manuscript history, the parts standard summaries leave out, subscribe now. Every week this channel goes straight to the oldest surviving copies of these texts and asks what they actually say, not what 6 centuries of retelling turned them into. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Before we get into what Enoch says about your guardian angel, we need to be honest about what most people think they already know. The popular idea of a guardian angel, a personal spirit assigned to one person, watching quietly, intervening occasionally, asking nothing, is a much later devotional development, shaped heavily by medieval Catholic piety, and before that, by a handful of scattered biblical lines, like Psalm 91's promise that God will command his angels concerning you. That is the softened version. The Book of Enoch is where the concept has its roots, and in Enoch, the picture is older, stranger, and far more transactional. The Book of Enoch is not one document but 5, the Book of the Watchers, the Book of Parables, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Epistle of Enoch. The section that matters most for the guardian angel question is the Book of the Watchers, chapters 1 through 36, the oldest section of the corpus, and the one that first introduces the idea of angels assigned to watch over the earth and its people. But the watchers who are named and given specific duties in this section are not simply benevolent guardians. They are administrators of a much larger system, and understanding your guardian means understanding the whole structure they belong to. In the Enochic framework, angels are organized. They are not free agents responding to prayer as they see fit. Chapters 20 and 71 name a specific class of angels called the Watchers, and among them, a smaller group described as holy ones who watch, archangels with defined portfolios. Michael governs the best part of humankind. Raphael is assigned to the spirits of men and to healing. Gabriel is set over paradise, the serpents, and the cherubim. Uriel governs the world, and Tartarus, the luminaries, and, as the astronomical book makes clear, the movement of the sun and moon themselves. These are not vague titles. They read like a chain of command. This is the detail that gets lost every time the guardian angel story gets simplified. In Enoch, an angel is not assigned to protect you out of affection. It is assigned because there is something specific to be protected against, and that something has a history. The Book of the Watchers opens with the account most people vaguely recall: 200 angels, led by a figure named Semjaza, descending to earth, taking human wives, and producing offspring the text calls the Nephilim. But the part that gets skipped is what happens next, and it is the part that explains why guardianship exists at all. The offspring of that union, according to chapters 15 and 16, did not simply die out. When their physical bodies perished, the text says, something remained, restless spirits, described as going out from the bodies of the giants to afflict, oppress, and corrupt without needing food, without dying, and without being restrained by the same limits that govern human life. These are the spirits later Jewish and Christian tradition would come to call demons, and the specific job of restraining and countering their influence on human beings is given, in the Enochic framework, to the archangels, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and their subordinates. Your guardian angel, in this original architecture, is not a general-purpose comfort. It is a countermeasure. It exists because something else exists that it was built to answer. That is the save you from half of the title, and it is worth sitting with how specific Enoch is about it. Chapter 10 describes the archangels being individually dispatched with individual assignments: Raphael to bind one fallen watcher, Gabriel to destroy the offending offspring, Michael to bind the leader of the rebellion for a set period of time. This is not poetic language about temptation in general. It is an operational structure, named agents, given named tasks, against a named threat. If a personal guardian angel exists downstream of this structure, its purpose is legible for the first time. It is a permanent, individual-scale extension of the same restraining function the archangels performed on a cosmic scale at the beginning. So what does it want from you? This is the half of the story most devotional retellings quietly drop, because it complicates the comfort. In the Enochic and the broader Second Temple angelological tradition that grew out of it, angelic protection is not unconditional. It is tied to watchfulness, the same word used for the angels themselves. The Epistle of Enoch, chapters 91 through 105, is addressed to the righteous, and repeatedly frames divine and angelic favor as something maintained through right conduct, not something guaranteed regardless of it. The text describes the sinners as those for whom the angels record wrongdoing rather than intervene against harm, and it describes heavenly books in which the deeds of every person are written down for the angels to read out at judgment. That detail, the recording angels, is where the Enochic guardian tradition most sharply departs from the comforting modern version. In chapters 89 through 90, part of the animal apocalypse, Israel's history is retold through a vision in which 70 angelic shepherds are assigned periods of time to watch over the people, and are later held to account for how well or poorly they did it. The angel is not simply protecting. The angel is watching, reporting, and will itself be judged on the quality of that watching. Guardianship, in this framework, runs in both directions. You are being watched by something that is also being watched. Later Jewish mystical and apocalyptic literature built directly on this Enochic scaffolding. The idea that each person has an accompanying angel who records their deeds, who can be a source of protection, but who is also, in effect, a witness for the prosecution as much as the defense, appears across rabbinic and Second Temple material and echoes directly back to the bookkeeping angels of Enoch's epistle. The guardian is not neutral. It has an interest in your conduct, because your conduct is, in some sense, its report card too. This is also where the Qumran community's use of Enoch becomes relevant. The community that preserved the Dead Sea Scrolls held the Book of Enoch in high regard, copying it in multiple Aramaic fragments recovered from Cave 4. Their own sectarian literature, particularly the community rule, describes two spirits contending over every person, a spirit of truth and a spirit of deceit, each with angelic backing, language that scholars of Second Temple Judaism have long connected to the angelology first laid out in Enoch's Book of the Watchers. In that framework, a guardian angel is not opposed by nothing. It is opposed by something with its own patron, and the outcome is not automatic. None of this made the transition into later devotional Christianity intact. As the Book of Enoch was gradually pushed to the margins of the Western canon, never formally scriptural in most churches, though preserved as authoritative to this day in the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, the sharper edges of its angelology were smoothed down. The guardian angel survived as a concept. The apparatus underneath it, the countermeasure against a specific spiritual threat, the recording function, the conditional nature of the protection, the fact that the angel itself answers for how it watched, mostly did not survive into popular retelling. The Ethiopian church, where Enoch has never left the liturgy, is one of the few places the fuller picture was never set aside. What Enoch leaves us with, when you read the Watchers, the Epistle, and the Animal Apocalypse together rather than in isolation, is a guardian angel that is neither a passive comfort nor a free gift. It is a countermeasure assigned against a real and specific history of corruption the text goes out of its way to describe in detail. It watches you the way it was set to watch, and it keeps a record while it does. What it wants from you is not devotion in the abstract. It is the same thing it was itself commanded to maintain: order, conduct answerable to a standard, the watching kept honest on both sides of the relationship. The manuscripts are still there to be read. The Qumran fragments are in Jerusalem. The Ge'ez copies are still read aloud in Ethiopia today, unbroken. And whatever is assigned to you is, according to the oldest version of this story, still keeping its own account of how that assignment is going.